Now, the Braves Clubhouse Report.
Thanks for joining us for our first off-season edition of the Braves Clubhouse Report. This is your home of the Braves, the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM. Kevin McAlpin here with you till the bottom of the hour, getting you up to speed on all things Braves and Major League Baseball, as unfortunately this is our first show of the fall and winter. Braves knocked out of the postseason by the Phillies once again late last week in 4 games, and what really felt like Groundhog Day when you look back on that series and how it unfolded. Braves splitting the 2 games here in Atlanta, Philly getting wins in games 3 and 4 in Philadelphia, and they now have a 2-0 lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks in the best-of-7 National League Championship Series. That will now shift to the desert for the next 3 ball games. Philly's a 10-0 winner behind Aaron Nola last night, and obviously we'll have a couple of months to dissect where the Braves go from here, how they get over the hump in 2024, and a whole lot more over the coming months, and we'll do that with our buddy Ben Ingram coming up in our next segment as well. We'll pick his brain on the atmosphere in Philadelphia, plus what was a very frustrating series for the Braves offensively. We'll get to Ben coming up in our next segment, and of course we'll talk more about what's to come later on tonight. It is Game 3 of the American League Championship Series. Texas Rangers going home with a 2-0 advantage over the Houston Astros, the reigning world champs, with Christian Javier on the mound against Max Scherzer. That should be a great matchup tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern. Unfortunately, the Braves season does come to an end. 104 wins during the regular season, and so many incredible accomplishments, with Ronald Acuna Jr. going 40-70 for the first time in Major League history. Of course, you had Matt Olson setting a new single-season homer record for the Braves organization. We saw the Braves get another division title, their 6th consecutive, but unfortunately, just like last year, ran into a red-hot Philly team that swept the Miami Marlins in the wild card, and again, take 3 out of the first 4 to advance, and they are now 2 wins away from back-to-back appearances in the World Series. We're going to hear from Alex Anthopoulos coming up in just a moment. He joined Chuck and Chernoff late last week to certainly go over where the Braves go from here, and of course, what was a very memorable regular season. If you want to hear that entire interview, you can go to 680thefan.com or go to the podcast park as well. That entire interview is posted there. It's about 20 some odd minutes. Certainly lots of things to talk about as far as the Braves' plans for the offseason, what they will look to accomplish in free agency. Maybe it's trades, and one trade that didn't happen at the deadline last year. All of that with Alex Anthopoulos at 680thefan.com. But let's hear from the Braves president of baseball ops as he reflected on what his biggest takeaway from the division series was in 2023.
With this series, in my view, my initial takeaway, look, and this might evolve as I continue to analyze and process all of it. Takeaway Game 3, when you look at the final score, was, we had a lot of opportunities with men in scoring position. In that 4-game sample size, we just had a hard time with men in scoring position, but a timely hit here or there, it changes to at least a Game 5.
And the Braves certainly had that opportunity in Philadelphia with Ronald Acuna Jr. at the plate. Flies out to deep center field with the bases loaded, down by a pair late, and it really felt like that took the wind out of the Braves' sails. We do see them take the series loss against Philadelphia. But obviously, it was a memorable regular season for the offense. They had 307 home runs. Unfortunately, just 3 of those. And the Braves scored just a total of 8 runs in the 4 games in the National League Division Series. And here is Alex going on to talk about just how deep and dangerous this offense was this year.
I'd say this. We had 7 of our 8 All-Stars were on the position player side. We set all these great offensive stats. I don't think anyone questions whether we have power up and down the lineup. Look, they hit, I think, 12 home runs. We hit 3. We are a home run hitting team. That doesn't mean that's all we can do. We can still slug and hit for extra bases, but we're going to, unless we're going to win every game 2-1, 1-0, that's the strength of our team, and, they're still amazing offensive players.
Yeah, they really are. Big-time numbers, 3 guys with 40 or more homers. Of course, it felt like just about everybody on the roster was in double digits this year. You had Orlando Arcia set a new career high with 18 home runs. Marcell Ozuna getting his 40th on the final day of the regular season. Unfortunately, the Braves lived with the home run during the regular season, and with just 3, it came back to bite them in the postseason. And credit to Philadelphia, much like last year when we talked about what went wrong in the division series, Phillies pitched a little bit better. They certainly had better timely offense, which we saw, and they've continued that here against Arizona in the NLCS. Bullpen was a little bit better as well, and the defense, especially on the infield, was really, really good for Philadelphia. For a team that just a couple of years ago was not known for having a very good defensive ball club and having one of the worst bullpens in their franchise's history, you got to give that front office credit. They have turned that around in a big way and are now just 2 wins away from advancing to the World Series. Big reason why the Braves have been able to put together this group, this core for the foreseeable future, has been you, the fans. This season, Braves came close to 3.2 million in attendance. It was 3,191,505, fourth highest attendance in baseball. And here was Alex giving a tip of the cap to the fans who came out to support this team all year.
I'm doing the media blitz today. It's part of the gig. It's to be expected. We had 3 million people roll through the stadium, over 3 million people that live and die with this team, that watch on TV each night, the passion, everything else. Like, we work for the fans. And, you know, I try to be as transparent as I can be. I know it probably stinks when I can't get into who we're trying to trade for or who we're trying to sign. But trust me, I feel that pressure in a good way.
And so we'll see what Alex decides to do. One thing that we have seen from him the last few off seasons, if there's a guy or if there's guys he is interested in pursuing, he's going to be aggressive. And that could start here within the next couple of weeks after the World Series does wind down. Braves do have some decisions to make. Charlie Morton, a $20 million option for next season. Eddie Rosario, a $9 million option. Two of the bigger things they'll have to think about here this coming winter. If they decide to go in a different direction, if they try to add some more power, then Alex did go on to talk about a right-handed power bat that they had looked to add at the trading deadline a year ago. It didn't happen. We'll see if maybe they can land that guy here this year. All right, when we return, we're going to check in with our buddy Ben Ingram, get his thoughts on the division series and really 2023 as a whole. It was an incredible run for this team that ends far too early, and we'll talk to Ben coming up next on the Braves Clubhouse Report here on The Fan.
The Braves Clubhouse Report on 680 The Fan.
Braves Clubhouse Report continues. We're with you Wednesdays, year-round, 2 to 2:30. Right here on your home of the Braves, the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM. Kevin McAlpin here with you till the bottom of the hour. We'll check in with Chuck and Chernoff coming up here in just a little while. We'll also visit with our buddy Ben Ingram coming up here momentarily. Of course, Ben, you listen to him and Joe just about every single night throughout the course of the season. Those guys do a tremendous job. And whether it's Ben and Joe or Jim, you also have Darren O'Day, Kelly Johnson. You had, who else? Peter Moylan, Nick Green. Those guys did a tremendous job all season long. And what do you say we hear from the man, Ben Ingram, joining us now on the phone lines. Ben.
Hey, Uncle Ben.
Hey, Uncle Ben. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you, Kev?
I'm doing all right. You know, I'm sitting here just kind of wondering, you know, what could have been, what should have been for this Braves ball club. And I don't know about you, man. You had a front row seat to this thing just about every single night. And when you go back to the division series, didn't it just kind of feel like Groundhog Day on what the Braves went through a year ago to how that series unfolded here this year, too?
Yeah, it felt like the exact same thing repeated. You know, it's especially up there. I thought the games up there had a very similar feel to what we felt like last year, where nothing went your way and you couldn't keep them from scoring. And anytime you had men on base, you could not score yourself. I know that Game 4 this season was a little bit more competitive than Game 4 last year, but the result was the same. It's a very difficult place to go up there and win. You needed to win one ball game because you lost Game 1 at home. And we went into that first game in the NLDS, and Joe and I were talking when we came on the broadcast. We said this is a must-win game. And some people might roll their eyes at that because it was an elimination game for the Braves, but we knew what was going to lie ahead. We knew what it was going to be like to go to Philadelphia. We saw it last year. And you felt like you needed both of those games at home because it's so hard to go up there and win. So it definitely felt very similar. And to look back on the last 2 years and see 205 combined wins, but only 2 postseason wins, I know it's a head-scratcher for sure.
Do you think it's something that we'll hear maybe talked about this offseason? I know none of the guys in that clubhouse wanted to make excuses. I heard the Dodgers, after they got eliminated by Arizona, same thing with the Orioles. Nobody wants to use it as an excuse. However, do you think that there could be something to this whole layoff and, you know, kind of ramping it down and then trying to kick it back into gear? Because let's be honest, they had those workout nights here at the ballpark, which I thought was a great idea. But you're not replicating someone throwing 95 in on the hands on Ronald. It's just a totally different feel from, you know, going through those kinds of exhibition games to the regular, you know, adrenaline of a playoff game. Do you think that we may hear some chatter this offseason that Major League Baseball may at least look into doing something a little bit differently for 2024?
I don't. I think that they're going to wait on a larger sample size than what we currently have. I know that there'll be a lot of chatter from people like you and me. There'll be chatter from fans. There'll be chatter from talk shows and things like that, because it's something to wonder about. I don't know that you or I or anyone who's not on the field or at least in a uniform can properly answer that question, because those guys know the difference. Of course, they're not going to use it as an excuse. They're not going to admit as much into a microphone. I wonder what they would say off the record if it'd be any different than what they said on the record. I have no idea. That's just speculation. But to the people who think there's something to that could play a part in these teams who have the best records in baseball not advancing, I think if you're looking for proof, it's a very small sample size, but there's enough there to make you wonder and say, well, let's watch this over the next few years. I would be absolutely stunned if Major League Baseball, after 2 years, all of a sudden changed this and look for some kind of a different result, answer, schedule, whatever that may be. Look, they have opened up the door to more postseason teams, like it or not. And they've done that for television revenue flat out. I don't see another reason to add another wild card team, to add 2 out of 3 in a wild card series outside of extra TV ratings, extra TV revenue. I like the system that we used to have, if you're asking me. I thought 3 division winners in a wild card game was enough. And for people who would say, well, you can't bowl 162 games down to a one-game scenario. Well, I'd say win your division.
Yeah.
Win your division, you don't have to worry about that. But given the fact that the top 5 teams in Major League Baseball record-wise, none of those teams advanced, that's enough for me to at least say, well, I want to watch this and pay attention to these patterns over the next 3-4 years, and let's see what that pattern looks like over a larger sample size. But as for right now, I can't imagine the league's going to be changing anything anytime soon.
You know, I was thinking about this the other night, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We've talked in the past about, say, the NBA, where they have load management, and players will, it's a long road trip. They're going to sit out a night, and they're going to take a breather. I just wonder if this could become a thing in baseball where teams go, you know what, Ben, we don't need to win 100 games. We win 85 to 90. We get in, we get hot at the right time, and we can catch fire. I just wonder if you're going to start seeing teams go, you know what, we don't necessarily have to try to win every single night, because as you have seen, and it's not just a small sample size with wild card teams in the last few years. Heck, go back to the Marlins. Both their World Series titles came as wild cards. I guess what I'm getting at is, could teams just say, you know what, we are going to give a couple of guys a break here and there just to make sure they are fresh for a deeper run, and we'll take our chances being a 90-win team as opposed to a 102-win ball club?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Look, it's important to win a division. It is. It's a nice accomplishment. But I don't know that teams are going to prioritize that as much moving forward. And maybe there's some managers out there who would completely disagree with me. I go by what Snit says at spring training every year at the beginning of every season, and his message to the team is, your first goal is to win the division. Yeah. And if you can do that, then you open your door to the next goal. And that's winning the league and then winning the World Series. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily the priority anymore. We've seen if you can be one of the wild card teams, if you can be the number 1 wild card team, you got as good a shot as anybody to get into the World Series. We're going to watch this season where we could see the wild card teams fill out both sides of the World Series. The Phillies look like they're well on their way. Certainly the Rangers are out to a really good start. There's only one division winner left of the 4 teams available. So you're seeing that there is another route there. And I think for traditionalists, and the traditionalist in me, Kevin, is a little bit bothered by that, because I feel like to a degree it cheapens 162. Yeah. I think winning your division, there should be incentive to win your division. I think there should be more of an advancement. I think for the teams that win their division, I don't know how many other teams could get in. You're talking about 4 wild card teams versus 3 division winners. There are more wild card teams that get in than division winning teams. And I know that those division winners, at least the top 2, have a chance to reset their rotation and rest their bullpen and start at home. But the laying out for 5 days, and I can say this because of what we do every single day, it is such a grand departure from what we do every single day. There's not another time of the year where you have 5 days off. The All-Star break's only 4. A guy in spring training might go 2 days tops without playing in a spring training game, 3 at the most. So to get to the most crucial point of the season and have 5 days off, I think you're going to get varying opinions on that. And I feel like if you don't win your division, if you find a way in, that's really all that matters here in 2023 in this new format that started last year.
No doubt about it. Ben Ingram joins us on the Braves Clubhouse Report with you Wednesdays 2 to 2:30 here on The Fan. Ben, I mentioned this to Nick and Chris a little while ago when we were just wrapping up their show. Watching what Philly has done so far to Arizona, and heck, I'd take it back one step further, what they did to the Braves, doesn't it sort of feel like you're watching the 2023 regular season Braves now in the postseason? They're just wearing the wrong uniform?
Yeah, it does feel like a little bit what we went through in June. I mean, you think about the month of June, the Braves did everything right. Every guy in the lineup, top to bottom, was hot.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing right now with the Phillies. I said going into the postseason, I felt like whoever won the series between the Braves and the Phillies would win the whole thing. Because I know what I've seen over the last 6 months. I know what Philly is. I know what the Braves have been. I know what they're both capable of. Those are the two best teams that I saw all year. Better than the Dodgers, better than the Rangers, better than the Astros. I know what I watched down the stretch, and I felt like whomever won that series is going to win this whole thing. And now, as it stands now, the Phillies, I don't believe they'd have home field advantage versus either the Rangers or the Astros, but that's still a situation where they'd have 3 games at home. You'd need to win 1 in the state of Texas, regardless of who you play. And I think that's a very confident bunch. It's a hot bunch top to bottom. They have great pitching. Their bullpen is better than I've seen it in Philadelphia in a long time. And that was their biggest issue for many years. They had bullpens over the last 6-7 seasons that weren't just awful. They were historically awful. But they've really addressed that. Everyone who comes out of that bullpen now is throwing 100 miles an hour. And they've got great lefties and righties. They can match up with you. And I think what you see from Philly is a top to bottom total package right now and a really good shot to win the whole thing.
You've been part of some pretty raucous environments over your years in the booth. Where does Philadelphia in the postseason rank for you these last couple of years? Because I can tell you what we heard back here in studio was deafening. I can't imagine. Like, where does that rank with you with Dodger Stadium and some of the nights you've been out there for postseason games?
There's 3 places that really come to mind that jump out where I left that night thinking that was unbelievable. Philly's definitely one of them, and not just this year, but last year as well. I thought what happened in Game 4 was really incredible. Those people, those crowds yelling Strider in unison, the way that kind of went back and forth. That was a night game. I thought that was unbelievable. Certainly electric and about as loud of a stadium as I've ever been a part of. And then I'd say also for Philadelphia last year, the Rhys Hoskins home run off of Spencer Strider, that place was out of sight. I mean, it was unbelievable, the energy in that place. Along with it, I've got to put Busch Stadium from 2019. I thought when Yadi Molina hit that game winner in extra innings, I could feel the floor shaking under me. So that certainly gets a mention for me. And then I got to go back to Game 3 in LCS 2021 when Cody Bellinger hit the home run off of Luke Jackson. That place was unreal at Dodger Stadium, and I'd put it right up there with what we saw in 2013 when Juan Uribe hit the home run off of David Carpenter. I mean, those 2 events at Dodger Stadium were as loud as I've ever heard a stadium. So those are the ones that jump out to me. And those 3 places in the postseason provided, and unfortunate for all against the Braves in all those instances, but they provided quite the environment on the road. And I love what we saw in Atlanta for Game 2, the game winner, to double off Bryce Harper. It was electric here. So I love seeing that atmosphere. But as far as sustained over an entire game, it's hard to beat what Philly's doing right now.
Yeah, it really is. They've had a lot to cheer for. Obviously, a 10-0 win over Arizona last night. Boy, Merrill Kelly really walked into that. You texted me the other day his comments that he made about, I've never been out there. I've never heard that crowd. Well, he heard it pretty early last night, didn't he?
Stepped all in it, man. And I know he compared it to the WBC and the Venezuela game. And look, that place was nuts. But it's a different crowd because it's a different passion, WBC versus what we've seen over the last few nights. I don't want to take away from the WBC. It means a lot to everybody who's there because it's their country involved and there's a lot of passion there. But it's passion that's really in a microwave oven because it's not like you've been following those teams for 6 months. The WBC is 2.5, 3 weeks long, and yes, it's fun, it's passionate. You get into it because of the patriotism to your own nation, but it's over and done with in a very short amount of time. This is throughout the entire year. This builds up. These are real rivalries that you follow all year long. And I think for what Merrill Kelly said the other night, it's very much apples to oranges, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question. Hey, before we let you go, look into that crystal ball. We're down to the Final Four. Obviously, Philly a 2-0 lead. Texas also up 2-0 over Houston. Who do you got in the World Series? Who do you like taking home the trophy this year?
I mean, it's kind of a cheap answer because I'll go Texas and Philly because they both have a 2-0 lead. But I kind of like that going in. I like where Texas is. I've liked Texas all year long. I love Bruce Bochy as a manager. It's a Phillies team that is red hot, and I think that if they had home field, it'd be easy to say they win the World Series, no doubt. But I think the Rangers can put up a fight. Those are both teams that are wild cards that finished with 90 wins, and Texas won the regular season series. So I'm pretty sure that would serve as the tiebreaker, and they would have home field. And for them, that would mean 4 games of their place, and they've got to win all 4. But going into it, if I had to bet, I'd put my money on Philadelphia because, like I said, I thought going in, the Braves or the Phillies, whoever won that series, would win the whole thing. So I got to stick with that.
Well, I appreciate the time, my friend. We'll have plenty of time to catch up this offseason about where the team goes from here. But job well done this year, my friend. You had highlight after highlight that we'll be hearing for many years to come. It was a memorable regular season. Unfortunately, the playoffs wrapped up a little bit too early. But you, Joe, Jim, the whole staff up there, J-Chat as well. Job well done this season, my friend. Enjoy a little break, and we'll catch up real soon. And there is Ben Ingram joining us here on the Braves Clubhouse Report. All right, one more break. We'll check in with Matt Chernoff, and we'll close up things coming up next here on The Fan.
This is the Braves Clubhouse Report, exclusively on 680 The Fan.
Once again, big thanks to our buddy Ben Ingram joining us here on the Clubhouse Report. Does a great job all season long. Guess about spring training, so that's 30-some-odd games, plus about 100, close to 200 games this season. Unfortunately, not a couple of more in the postseason, but job well done by Ben and Joe and Jim and the entire crew up there in our Braves radio booth. We'll check in with Matt Chernoff coming up in just a moment. Chuck and Chernoff right around the corner. In the meantime, Rawlings currently announcing the finalists for the 2023 Gold Glove Awards. Braves have a chance to get some folks represented here as Austin Riley, a finalist at third base in the National League, along with Ryan McMahon of the Rockies and Ke'Bryan Hayes of the Pirates. Also, Eddie Rosario, a finalist in left field, along with Ian Happ and David Peralta. You have Michael Harris II in center field. They have not announced right field. Actually, let's see. I don't think they have announced right field as of yet. You figure Ronald Acuna Jr. should be in the mix as well. Matthew,
Hold on.
Want me to say that again?
Go back.
Left field?
Eddie, were there only 3 left fielders who were eligible this year?
I don't know that.
Listen, I love Eddie. Don't get me wrong. But what are we doing? Like, there was that play in Game 3 that Real Muto hit a ball that was an expected batting average of 220 off the bat that every average left fielder gets to, and it got by him.
Yeah.
That's just one moment. I'm sorry. And I'm happy for Eddie. He can now say he was a finalist. Something has gone horribly wrong.
There was a year, Palmeiro, I think it was with Texas, he won a Gold Glove. He appeared at first base, I think it was 7 games. It's a vote-on thing, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the Silver Slugger, that's a math thing? I
don't know.
Yeah, the Silver Slugger's a math thing, I believe. The Gold Glove is still something you vote on.
I thought the Henry Aaron Award is a math thing. I don't know if this is
maybe the Henry Aaron, yeah.
I don't know.
But it is like the Gold Glove. There are examples of guys, and it is just, maybe Greg Maddux was the best fielding pitcher for 12 straight years or 14 or whatever it is, but maybe it was just a guy that we knew.
I feel like we got to in college football where SIDs or interns were filling out top 25 ballots, and now we're doing this for gold. Rosario played a lot of games and left for the Braves.
Yeah. Gave your son a cookie. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, he'll eat anything.
There is a world where all 3 Braves outfielders could win a Gold Glove then.
There you go.
Best defensive outfield ever.
That's just the funniest thing I've seen today.
And you figure Silver Slugger finalists, you should have just about everybody in your lineup, right?
Yeah.
You'll have Ronald right there with the MVP. Well, I'm curious where Spencer Strider lands as far as Cy Young voting is concerned. Man, you're going to have a lot of hardware.
Hang on. I'm back on this. This is like when I remember Christian Ponder. I got a mouse pad with Christian Ponder for Heisman on it.
Right.
Is Eddie's agent sending out flash drives, Eddie for Gold Glove?
So he's a free agent if the Braves don't pick up his option, and they can be like, you want a Gold Glove finalist and a guy who hit 21 home runs.
Silver Slugger.
He's been a playoff hero in the past.
He's a World Series champion and a Gold Glove plays.
Yeah.
I wish those awards would soothe me right now, but maybe later on in the offseason. Right now, they don't soothe me.
Is it American Idol? Is it something where you can just go on and have the bots click a bunch of times?
Yeah, I don't know that.
We're being unfair to Eddie.
No, we're not. No, we're not. He's not a good outfielder.
All right, here's where it gets even funnier. Right field finalists are out.
Right.
Mookie Betts, Lane Thomas, and Fernando Tatis Jr. Ronald's not even a finalist for a Gold Glove, but Eddie Rosario is.
So the metrics are not good to Ronnie, which, you do the eye test and the other stuff. The outfield assist numbers are there. I don't know. I've given up on trying to figure any of this stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm right there with you.
Like I said, talk to me like in November. Thanksgiving will be a time I'll be thankful that the Braves have all these finalists and MVPs and stuff. While and I'm saying hearing because I'm not watching. While I'm hearing about all this home run hitting the Phillies are doing, nothing's going to make me feel good right now.
Get them next year.
Shut up, Los.
What if they lose the next 4? Would that make you feel any better?
Yeah, I guess. I don't want them to have a championship. I just got one 2 years ago. You think I don't want those people to celebrate something good. I want them to finish second again. So maybe make the World Series and lose an excruciating 6-game, 7-gamer to the Rangers or something.
Speaking of the Rangers, how about them off to a 2-0 start going home?
I'm not sure of the Astros' plan of attack here.
They get Scherzer in Game 3. They have to
down
face again.
0-2 on the road.
I have not watched any of this, so baseball died for me last week.
It's over.
I have no interest.
It's no fun. It is. It's not. It's
somebody else is dancing with my date.
The biggest difference between being a fourth grader and being a 40, 45, 50-year-old is as the fourth grader, you still watch every pitch.
Yeah.
No matter who's in the postseason. And now I'm just so dang let. I was about to use a swear word in front of your kid.
It's okay.
We did that in the hallway.
So dang let down.
We asked Max his favorite curse word earlier.
Dropped an S-bomb.
He did. He was very good. He said it with confidence.
He said it's my favorite, too. That's what he said.
Fantastic. So I'm glad the environment is here. D-Fax!
Hey, his mom's from New Jersey, Chuck. He's heard them all. Believe me.
I almost said something I did. The beauty of us doing sports for a living is I tell my kids, I'm watching a game. Those words don't count.
Right.
When Daddy says MF during the Braves game, that doesn't count in real life. They understand that.
I like it.
I've had these moments from the other room where when my daughter was about 5 or 6, heard that, Daddy? When it would be like one of those. So there's no way I can deny having said it. They're just words.
Well, I took Max to the Georgia Tech game up in Athens a year ago. We brought him home, and Mom's waiting there. How was the game? Well, it was great. Everybody was saying F-word you to the referees and showing their curse fingers.
That's exactly
I'm
right.
like, you don't have to tell
he was paying attention.
You don't have to tell all the details.
Well, no, he was at a game. It doesn't count at the game.
That's right.
It counts when you yell those words at Daddy.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's different.
You're not going to be yelling any words, but you guys got a big show coming up today, I would assume.
We do. We're going to get some folks registered again. We have 4 more chances for folks to get registered to win club-level seats to the Dogs and the Gators, courtesy of Breda Pest Management at the cocktail party coming up a week from Saturday. We'll get a visit from our agent of the stars, Hadley Engelhart. We'll talk about Julio Jones, his deal in Philadelphia. We'll pick his brain about whether Brock Bauer's agent would have some say-so and when he makes his return, if he does at all. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do today. I can't even keep. Oh, we got a top story we got to get to here in a moment.
Oh.
A lot.
All right, well, I'm going to get out of your way then.
Okay.
All right, that's going to do it for the Clubhouse Report. I miss seeing you guys every day, by the way.
I miss you.
Yeah, well, I'll be around more often.
Oh, good.
Maybe not. I'll see you in April.
Tease.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Ben Ingram for joining us as well. Chuck and Chernoff are next, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 2 for another edition of the Braves Clubhouse Report here on The Fan.